Welcome to Lime Rock. I'm Nick, founder and coach at Corner Faster. We host test days for current racers and an SCCA accredited school for the next ones. This video is part of a 10-part series where we take a look at Lime Rock Park in the iRacing simulator and go from a virtual track walk up to race ready. This is the 6th video in the series and it's all about the steering wheel. Turning the wheel into each corner and maintaining all the way through the exit. We're going to jump right into the sim, and even though we're discussing the steering wheel, it's important to remember that for the most part, rotation and turning the car in general is done with the pedals. How we come off the brake, how we get back on the gas, and those topics are covered in prior videos, but nonetheless we do need to turn the steering wheel. And in this video, we're looking at 3 things. The first is at turn-in, an initial period of introducing steering before really turning the wheel over. The second is that we get to max steering input, even slightly beyond the limit of grip, just prior to apex. And the third is that in a controlled manner, we unwind the wheel all the way through exit. Slowing things down into turn 1. In a big bend here, as we head into the second apex, you can see more and more steering input, and actually maxing out prior to arriving at the apex curve, and then unwinding all the way through that apex curve, maintaining a bit of steering input all the way through the exit. Then again into the left-hander, a little bit of introduction of the steering wheel, more, maxing out just prior to the apex. And then into the right-hander, again, trying to get to max steering input prior to the end of the apex curve so we can unwind in a controlled way with throttle input all the way to the exit. In the uphill, you can really see the overlap of steering and throttle. And while you don't want to stab the throttle, you do want to start to pick it up before beginning unwinding. You can see the overlap there in the data. And then similarly, in West Bend here, you can see before unwinding the wheel is when you just want to start cracking the throttle open. So you can get up to max steering input prior to the apex, and then begin that throttle pickup before we unwind and get to full throttle. Even in the downhill, where it's nearly flat out, again, an introduction of the steering, max out before we get to the curb, and get to full throttle while we're unwinding, but begin that introduction of throttle before you actually start the unwinding. So let's take another look at that lap, this time at full speed. You can see the steering input into the Big Bend second apex. Hear the throttle pick up as we unwind. Introduce and then steer and control the steering in left-hander and a right-hander. And really what we're focusing on as far as the limit of grip is the second half of the corner after the apex. Trying to get everything we can out of that apex to exit period. We unwind the wheel, apply the throttle in conjunction. So that's it for content for this video. Again, it's important to turn the car with the pedals, but as far as turning the steering wheel, make sure to introduce the inputs, get to max steering prior to the apex, and control the period of unwinding all the way through the exit to maximize the momentum that you can carry. Stick around for the next video where we review the flat car concept, made famous by the coach to the stars, Rob Wilson. In the meantime, check out cornerfaster.com, and we'll see you at Lime Rock.